Welcome back to another HnK video game experience. Holliwood Cole here with Clearfire. What is up, dude?
What's going on, man?
Well, I ended up getting a Switch. That's my big news. It's awesome, man. I've been just waiting and waiting. And I bought 3 games with it. Mario Odyssey, Mario versus Rabbids, which I've seen that game forever and I wanted to play it so bad. And Dragon Quest Builders. Because my son likes Minecraft and stuff, so I thought it'd be perfect. But I just got to say real quick, Mario Odyssey is outstanding, as I know everybody would think it would be. But it's kind of the closest thing I can relate it to is the Mario 64 when it first came out on Nintendo 64. You know how everybody was just kind of like, dude, this is amazing. It's kind of like that, man. You get the moons. You go to these worlds, you know, and just like Mario 64, you jump in paintings. You don't jump in paintings on Odyssey, but you kind of take your little ship over or whatever. But you go into this world, and the whole world is just for you to explore, 3D. And you get the moons. And that's kind of the new thing. And there's a ton of moons in there. I mean, I don't know how many there are. I guess they're all different. I mean, they have you like, you got to get 16 or whatever, but then you'll get 17, 18, 19. You're like, wow, what is... You know, how many are there? I don't know. But when you get a moon, you can keep going. Like in Mario 64, if you got a star, you know, you had to they'd kick you out and you had to jump in the painting again. But this time you get a moon, you get to just keep going. So they're a lot of fun to find. My kids like watching it too. But man, that Mario, I posted it on Twitter, that Mario versus Rabbids has got me like hooked, man. I'm like so into that game. It's just like a watered down Final Fantasy Tactics, you know. And I guess like the Fire Emblem strategy games with a Nintendo twist, and just easy enough to kind of pick up and play. It's a lot of fun. A lot of the new weapons that require a lot of coins, so you got to do a little bit of grinding, which I don't mind. I think that's kind of fun. But it's a lot of fun so far, man. I'm like on World 2 is all, but World 1 was so long. It's just I liked it a lot, man. And then Dragon Quest Builders just kind of, you know, I kind of got into it just enough. And it's just that didn't really get its claws into me yet. It's nothing like Minecraft. It's you do build, but it's a lot harder to build. It's like in third person. But anyway, the thing is that it has kind of the old Dragon Quest, the Dragon Warrior tones and stuff like that, which I like. The different music and just the overall feel of it. But anyway, that's what I've been doing, man. What's been going on with you?
Well, first I'm battling a stomach bug, but that kind of took me down for, you know, last night and today. So other than that, you know, not too much going on. Finally got my hands onto our game that we're gonna talk about here later on today. Haven't too much played on my Switch lately. Just been so busy, hadn't had a chance to really play any games or anything. So my Switch is sitting in its little carry case that I got for it, and just chilling, waiting for me to play it.
Yeah. So what is your average day, man? So you go to work, you come home. What keeps you busy from? So you're busy from when you get home, and then you go to sleep. You're busy. What are you doing that whole time?
Well, I mean, I don't get home from work until about 6:30ish, and then basically from that time on, I'm dealing with Seth, dealing with my son, getting him in bed, trying to get him in bed, getting ready for all that, and seeing that I have to get up at 5 every morning. I usually end up going to sleep around the same time he does, which is around 8:30 to 9 o'clock at night.
How long is your drive? You got like an hour drive?
It's just a little over an hour drive. So,
oh man, yeah, that sucks, man.
So that eats a lot of my time, and I haven't gotten into the groove of it all yet. So once I get into the groove, then everything will change. But right now, it's just trying to get into the groove and get everything settled. And my son has been a little more difficult lately than normal, so that's been a challenge for me and my wife. So
that's what people don't really understand. You know, when you got kids, you just never like when I go to work, I come home, and my wife's a stay-at-home mom, but you're still dealing with kids and just. The hardest part, everything, they're so young, every time they need something, you have to do it for them. Imagine that times 3. It's like,
oh yeah,
you got to do that. That's why I got 3. But I'll just, man, I get it going, and we made a rule, like, and I guess you get more structure when you're forced to, like when you have, they say if you have 3 kids, you might as well have 10, because it's like, It's no different. Because you just get in this routine, and it's like, dude, at 8:30, y'all are all in the bed, and I usually get to sit down about 9 o'clock finally and try to play a game. And then by that time, though, it's like, dude, I'm playing it for like 30 minutes, and I'm like, all right, dude, I'm about to pass out. But I have to cut it off at 8:39, man. I'll go insane. Yeah. But I'm like you, man. I'm hitting the ground running every time. But, dude, the games to me is just a real kind of decompressor, man. I have to sit down and just like, dude, just everybody get out of my hair for a little bit, and let's just, as long as me and my wife are, getting our time as well. But she doesn't have anything to do with games, but she's kind of like the same way. Like, well, I'm tired of dealing with everybody too. I just want to watch my shows or whatever. So I'm like, cool. But
I'm like that. I'm like that too. But just here recently, it's been time's just been so compressed for me that it just hasn't panned out well. So once I get everything smoothed out, it'll be fine. But we're in broken routine right now, and so we just need to get our routine back. And my son will start K3 in the fall, so that'll help bring routine back. So he starts that in August, which is really only a month away. So
well, cool. Let's see what else, man. I've been playing the Horizon Zero Dawn, which is awesome too.
It's still in my PS4, but I've actually been playing Trials Fusion. It's one of the free games that came out last month for the PS4.
Oh, okay. I hadn't downloaded those yet.
Yeah, a little dirt bike game, and it's actually been pretty fun. Seth will sit here and watch me play it, so that's made it a lot of fun being able to sit there and play it and have him chill out and calm down some. So
yeah, I understand, man. I've been the Horizon Zero Dawn. I had to put God of War on ice, but now I got God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, and the 3 Switch games that I'm doing, and then in July 16th, I believe, Octopath Traveler comes out. So I'm going to be like jam-packed with games.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like to play the Horizon Zero Dawn at night. And, because just when the kids go to bed and stuff, so they don't see me shooting arrows in the dude's head when I'm in the bandit camps and whatever. But, Mario, Rabbids, and all this. But, we've been playing a lot of Minecraft, and I'm trying to get a platinum on that as well, where you have to kill the dragon at the end, the Ender Dragon. And so we kind of, me and Jacob got on there, and he got a new controller, PlayStation controller, and put it on creative mode, got all the diamond armor and all this, and just said, let's just go kill the dragon on this world, where it's not going to count toward our achievements. But we switched it back over to survival, went in there and killed the dragon, figured out how to do it. So we're building up our arsenal to make the Ender Portal and get all of our gear together and go try to kill that dragon, because that's going to be the hardest achievement. But once I can get that one, once you know how to do it, it's really not that hard. But anyway, that's the kind of stuff that's been going on in my game world, man. I've got a ton of games and no time, just like you were talking about, to play them. But, man, that's okay. We'll get it done little by little.
Yeah, I'm the same way, because I've got a lot of the free PS4 games. I still haven't even touched the Metal Gear Solid. haven't even touched the Metal Gear Solid 5, the Deus Ex. I haven't touched that one yet.
I didn't like Deus Ex that much.
Bloodborne, I still have it to touch. So that's 3 right there that I haven't touched that were free games. And then let's see, what else do I have? And then of course I have Horizon Zero Dawn. I have Monster Hunter World, which I love playing. I've been playing a little Destiny 2 every once in a while, just to see if I'm going to even attempt anymore. I know I keep on saying that I'm not going to play anymore, but it keeps on sucking me back. It's my devil.
It must be a great game.
It's my guilty pleasure game. I don't know if it's a great game, but it's my guilty pleasure game. I still have Shadows of War to finish up. I've just got tons.
I want to get into those too.
I got tons of games. I loved Shadow of Mordor. It's one of my favorite games. It was so much fun. And Shadow of War's along that line too. So it's a lot of fun. I've got a ton of games to play too. I still even have, I probably won't ever do it, but I still haven't opened my Secret of Mana that I have for the PS4.
Yeah,
I'll probably just play it on the little SNES Mini that I have.
That's a better version from what I hear.
Yeah, I've heard the PS4 version is not that great. I just bought it for the collector factor there because the disc version was limited release. So I was like, well, that has a chance to have have a chance to get some value with it. So,
well, I'm hoping that PS4 or Sony will eventually like release the Secret of Mana like half off or something, and that's when I'll buy it digital, and that's when I'll play.
Yeah, it'll probably be one of those free games for PS4 before long.
Yeah, I don't even count those PlayStation free games, man. I mean, I count them obviously, but I forget about them too. I got like For Honor on there, which I'd love to try.
That's what I'm saying. But I mean, for
Bloodborne, like you're saying.
Yeah, but games like Bloodborne, those big games that we actually got for free, those are, you gotta count those. Those are big games. Now, when you're talking about like Shovel Knight and things like that, that's nothing.
I guess if it said it spent $50 on them or $60, I'm not like, I'm not too big on it. But man, I got a whole ton of Xbox 360 games and stuff, but it's in that weird phase of collecting where it's real cheap. So I don't want to sell it now. If I just wait like 5 years, all of it will go up. 5 years is a long time to wait, but I'm just saying, I just got too many games. You want to sell some of your stuff, but you got to find the right time to sell them all. Yeah. It's just a catch-22 because once it starts getting valuable, you don't want to let go of it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, with my 360 that I have a Modern Warfare 3 Edition 360, so I have a one that will be a collector's edition one day, so I'm hanging on to it, and I don't think I'll ever sell it. I think I've learned my lesson on getting rid of systems back in the day. I mean, I don't have I used to have a GameCube, and I got rid of it, and I regret that, and all of my Sega stuff, I regret getting rid of it, so I wish I still had it. So that's one of those things I've learned a hard lesson on, and I'm probably not going to get rid of it. I'm slowly rebuilding my collection. I have an actual Super Nintendo up here and the SNES Mini. So, I mean, I have both of them, and I'm not going to get rid of either one of them. And hopefully one day I'll add an NES Mini and a regular NES to my collection. But right now I'm just sitting on what I got. So,
yeah, man, I got a bunch. I mean, the NES is fun because you can just throw in a game and play it like right before dinner or something if you got a minute to burn. And that's my favorite time to play. I mean, like if we're going to go somewhere, say, hey, I'm ready early, I got like 2 hours to burn or an hour to burn. And so you just can sit back and play these Super Nintendo or NES games, and it takes no time. Yeah. And do it that way. I guess there's a little nostalgia in there too while I'm doing that, but who knows. But anyway, so the podcast, we've been kind of giving you guys E3 preview, E3 review, the Ready Player One. I think we had a Street Fighter 2 in there, which is a good retro game. And then we had a couple of smooth ramblings in there and a news in there. So we're happy today to get back to some retro love, man. I mean, we're finally going to drop some Super Metroid on you guys. A lot of people's favorite game, which we'll get more in detail here in a minute after the news, but I just want to give you guys a heads up. That's what we're going to be talking about today. If you didn't read the title and you just turn it on, then you'll know. But hopefully we can drop more of these. We're trying to go on a little run here with some of these games again, back to the true form here, what we've always kind of started this podcast on. But excited about this one. I'm looking forward to talking about this game. I got a lot to say about it, but anyway, man, what's going on in the news?
Well, in the fantastic world of news, I'll start with looking at what we have coming up for the free PS4 games for the month. Let me see if I can get into them.
So right now it's Fusion and something else.
Right now it's Fusion Trials, and it's really funny because my son likes it whenever it starts up because there's a cat riding on a unicorn with a pistol. And it's just hilarious. It's hilarious looking. It's just so funny looking.
Oh, yes. A cat riding on the unicorn with a pistol. It says motorcycles right there all day long.
And so he gets a good kick out of that. So that's the one that I'm playing right now that I really just enjoy and just have a good laugh. So, he trips out about it. It's that one, and I forget what the other one is, but I downloaded Trials Fusion, and it's been a pretty fun game so far. I enjoy playing it. It looks like for PS4 our freebies this month is Heavy Rain. It's a narrative-driven game from the developer that brought us Detroit Become Human. So it was a game that was originally launched back on PS3 back in 2010. So this will be kind of a neat game to check out. I don't know if I'll download it or not, but I might give it a check out. And the other one's called Absolver. It's a unique and flexible third-person adventure fighting game in which players can fully customize their fighting style. So that kind of sounds interesting to me, because I like games like that, and from what I can see of it, it looks like it would be right up my alley there for that. So
all depends on the customization options. If it means skill tree, I'll be cool with it. If it just means you can make X a kick or a punch, no, it doesn't mean anything to me.
Exactly. So hopefully it'll be where you can actually be creative with it and have some fun with it. But it's go check it out and see what you think about it too. So the other thing I want to bring up is the whole Microsoft, Nintendo, PS, PlayStation, Sony, and PC. So the reason why I was mentioning all those is because right now you can play Fortnite on both your both on anything Microsoft, which would be Xbox or PC, and on Switch, and have cross-platform play. You can play all of those and have that. Sony has locked that out. And the reason why this is becoming a big deal is because more and more games are having this cross-play style gaming. And one of the games that we've mentioned on our Facebook page is Fallout 76. And it seems like that they're pushing forward more with the cross-platform play, which is a great thing because I know a lot of people that play Xbox, and I would like to be able to play with them, but I'm on a PS4. And vice versa. I mean, other people have friends that play that. So I really think that this is one of those things in gaming that's actually going to change gaming. It's kind of like the next step in gaming evolution is being able to play. I mean, I know it's been done on certain games and on certain platforms at certain times. And I know way back in the day, Sony was trying to get Microsoft to do this, but Microsoft said no. I think this was back in the 360 PS3 days. And when PS3 wasn't doing as hot, they were trying to get Microsoft to say, to do this, and Microsoft said no. I think that we're going to end up having a really big, a big trend in gaming with this cross-platform play style. And Sony's taking a hard stand of not doing it. I mean, look at what happened to Fortnite. If you ever played Fortnite on the PS4 and then you tried to pick up Fortnite and play it on your Switch, you could not log into your account. So anything that you bought, anything you paid for, things like that, because it's like one of those games that you pay for equipment in, you would not be able to use it. You would have to start all over on the Switch. Well, if you were on Xbox One or even PC, you could play on the Switch with no problem, and you'd have all your stuff there. So Sony, I think, has taken a really bad stand there, and I really hope that they change their stance there, because it's something that it's gonna hurt them in the end if they don't change their stance. And the thing too with Sony, I get the whole idea of, well, this game is on my system, I want you to buy it on my system, and not have it on another system. Well, that's all great and good, but look at all the great exclusives that PS4 has. I mean, they have some killer exclusives. And to me, it's like you're losing out on a whole new area of marketing that you could easily hit. I mean, think about it. I'm playing as a PS4 player with somebody on Fortnite that's on Xbox One, and they've never heard of Horizon Zero Dawn, for instance. And you always have time that you're going to be talking to people. There's always wait times for everything. And you're going to always chat to people whenever you're playing a game, especially an online game. I don't care who you are, you always end up chatting to them somehow, because half the time you always say how terrible you are, or you drop some joke about your mama. I mean, that's just how it always happens. You always have that kind of stuff come up. So it's an area where PlayStation or Sony could actually be like, okay, we've got these players that are playing with each other. They're going to be talking about our games. This is great. You would think that they would think that. And it's just that I really feel like they're missing a great opportunity, for one, for marketing, and two, for basically making them to look like the best system out there. Because right now they're falling in favor because of having this hard stand. They want to stay the top system, They need to loosen up on that stand. And, I mean, I really feel like this is going to be the future battle for the next generation of consoles. Who does cross-platform play better?
Well, let me play devil's advocate. What's the new game mode that everybody's looking at? Black Ops 4 is going to Battlefield, all these Battle Royale, right?
Battle Royale, yep.
That's the new hotness for multiplayer games. If you bought an Xbox One and you can play with Xbox One, Switch, and PC, you would still have roughly half of the players that PS4 has. PS4 has sold 80 million consoles, and I'm going to assume the estimate of Fortnite players is going to be the same across the board. Same percentage of Fortnites on PlayStation, Xbox One, Switch, and whatever. So whatever that number, doesn't matter. It's just the ratios that we're looking at. 80 million PS4s and roughly 45 million Xbox One and Switches combined. I know you got PC, but and then whatever that little phone game thing is or whatever. But the point is, they have that big pool of players, and if you want to have a whole new experience, a whole new group of people, more competition, then you still to this day get a PS4. I understand what you're saying and about the cross-platform, and it does need to. It's not going to hurt Sony to do it, I don't think. But whatever their stance is to say, hey, 80 million, we got the biggest pool. Why would we want to share that? Because we're sending all of our players now, and we're setting up our acquired consumers, our acquired customers, and now we're sending them into your pool, Xbox One, and making your Fortnite look good when you didn't put in the work. So, but anyway, I'm just saying that's the only thing that I could see that PlayStation is doing that for, but it's going to happen. Cross-platform, cross-play. This has been a technology that's been available for a long, long time. Everybody's stiff-armed it. Xbox 360, Microsoft, they all did it too. Microsoft is not some hero here. They just, hey, we're hurting. We need to do something. We're flailing over here. Switch. Let's hook up. Let's get this thing going. So that's what they're doing. If Xbox One was at the top, I would guarantee they probably wouldn't do it either. They were at the top of the 360. That capability, that technology was there. They never implemented it then either. So it's just their strategy today. We'll see how it plays out, though. Interesting time for gamers for sure.
I mean, that's what I was mentioning too with the whole PS3 trying to do it back in the day. Yeah. Because they were trying to push it, and Xbox they didn't want to have anything to do with it because they were the top dog. And it's the whole top dog thing. The only problem is now is, one, when you had the PS3 and the Xbox 360, they weren't as driven for online gaming as the Xbox One and the PS4 is. That's the new drive now is online gaming. I mean, how many of the games do you play, even the single player games that require some type of internet connection? I remember playing mini games on the Xbox 360 and never having to have one internet connection. So it's one of those things where with the change there, it has that drive there. My one thing is I'm worried about, it's the whole thing with like when Xbox went to go release the Xbox One, and they said that it was going to be an always on system, always internet connected, everything like that, and we look at it now, how many times, we complained about it and we balked at that as gamers in general. And it really hurt Xbox One. But now, if you look at it, how many times do you turn on your PS4 or Xbox One and not connect to the internet? You're pretty much always connected with it anyway. You have it auto connect, auto dial in, things like that. And it's the same thought pattern here with this. Is we're coming into the end of the generation of the PS4 and the Xbox One, and we're starting to step up to the next generation. And I feel like if PlayStation takes a hard stand like this right before the next generation is going to hit, because, I mean, we're roughly 2-ish years out from it. And if we're 2-ish years out from it, then I think that's the worst time to be taking a hard stand on anything. Especially when, you have a competitor like Xbox that can come in and can beat you, which did in the previous generation. If they come in and they don't take this hard stand and you do, how is that going to affect your business later? You know, I'm a PlayStation fan. I mean, I'm one of those that, you know, when Sega died, I went straight to PlayStation because that to me was the next best thing. And I've always been a fan of PlayStation. The only reason why I owned an Xbox 360 was because all my buddies were playing on 360. And if I had a PS3, I'd be playing by myself all the time. So it's one of those things where I think that PlayStation needs to be careful and tread lightly on these hard stand issues. Otherwise, they're going to shoot themselves in the foot for their business down the road. I'm not so much concerned with their business now because their business now is great. Yeah, like you said, 80 million consoles to 45 million, for the other two competitors. You know, I think it's a little more than that, but it's probably pretty close to something like that. It's probably more like 50 million because I know Nintendo Switch in its first year sold 17 million consoles, and it actually sold better than the PS4 did in its first year. So I know Switch has got a lot of consoles out there, but you know, like you said, you know, when you look at your comparisons, when you got your two other competitors having less than what you do, that's great. But how are you gonna are you gonna be able to carry that over when you go to the next generation?
Well, Xbox 360 did.
360 didn't carry over that generation
we just talked about they didn't want to cross-platform.
Yeah, they want to cross-platform,
and so now they just go to the next generation, and now they're doing it now.
But what I'm saying
PlayStation
is
5 could do the same thing.
But look at what happened to them. The reason why they're saying that is just like you said, is for a business ploy. It's because they're failing, they're losing the battle. When they went from a 360 where they were the king. They went to Xbox One, and
but it wasn't because of the lack of cross.
It wasn't because of that. Because there was no cross-platform with anybody at the time. You know, everybody was just like, stay in your own pool, stay in your own swim lane, just stay away. With the exception of Xbox, you know, with the exception of PlayStation at the time, saying, hey, let's do this. We got the technology. Why don't we do it? You know, it's a benefit for all of us if we do it. But once again, it's the loser of that generation saying that. Now you have the loser of this generation, Microsoft, pushing and wanting to have that and having that press of, hey, we can do this. Sony's not wanting to. Well, Sony's the big dogs, just like you said. The thing is this issue, because I feel like this cross-platform issue is going to be bigger than what it was back in the 360 era and the PS3 era. It's going to be so much bigger than that now than what it was then. And is this issue going to be that issue that creates the flipping of the switch for who's the leader, for who the king is for next generation? Because for Xbox, it was that always on that we sold you, that you always have to connect to the internet, that you always have to have a the camera attached to it, that it wasn't going to work with that. You know, they took that hard stand right off the bat, and it tanked their thing before it even came out. You know, it tanked it before they even released images. You know. And they basically tanked this whole generation for them off that one thing. It just totally wiped them out because of that. Is this one stand? Is this what's going to undo PlayStation's rule? Because everybody's talking about if Xbox comes out with this awesome system with these great specs, can run 4K games at 60 frames a second, and PlayStation's still sitting on their laurels about other things, it could kill them. And that's my concern is as a PlayStation gamer, how is this going to affect our ecosystem? We've
kind of gone around in circles here. But let's just not go around in circles, but just kind of beat this down a little bit. But just think about this first. Just get it down to bottom level here. Do you care? Here's my thing. I don't think anybody's going to care. I'll be honest with you. I think it's not going to do anything. Nobody cares. Because when you're playing on PlayStation 4, do you care if the pool of gamers is 2 million or 3 million? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Who cares if it's an extra million on there? You know, if I'm playing on Xbox One, it doesn't make no difference to me if the other guy's on a Switch or not. I mean, if the pool is 2 million or 4 million, I mean, you're not going to run into everybody. What do you got? How many people are in one match of Battle Royale in Fortnite? 30, 40, 50, 60? I mean, you got a long way to... I don't know what it is. I've never played
It's 100.
Okay.
It's 100. You got 100 people. In Battle Royales, there's about 100 people usually.
Yeah, so, man, you got to dip into that pool another, 200,000 times. But, like, if just think of the SOCOM days. Man, he had a pool of who knows, tens of thousands. I liked having the same people over and over. I liked having the same group of guys that playing with. We didn't have friends list and all this. They just joined. They started. I think the SOCOMs eventually had like a friends list, but they just started joining, and maybe they started. I can't even remember, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you still had the same group of people that you played with all the time. Even if they weren't on your friends list, they'd be in the group with you every so often. But whatever. I really don't think it's going to matter. I think this is Xbox One's like last hoorah before they get the new thing out, and so they're saying, "Hey, look at us. We're the champs of gaming since we released this big system that, like you mentioned on the preview or the review E3 review of, hey, this does everything. This is your entertainment's mecca. Nobody cares. We want to play video games." And you kind of hit that nail on the head there, saying, we don't care. We just want to play games. PlayStation 4 said, hey, we're a gaming system. So now Xbox One's saying, oh, no, we're the gaming system for gamers because we can connect to everybody. And PlayStation 4 is the big bad guy out there trying to stifle all your fun. And it's like, dude, nobody cares, man. I mean, the next ones that come out, if they're going to be cross-platform, that's great. If not, it's just going to be the best seller. It's going to flip-flop maybe. Who has the best system at launch? If Xbox One hits it hard with the great specs, great lineup coming out, they're going to have to do something different. I don't think Halo and Crackdown is going to do it, but we'll see. But anyway, that's kind of my 2 cents on that. I think that's kind of irrelevant personally. But let's talk about another game that you got going on, man. Anthem.
Anthem. Oh
yeah.
Yes.
So the Game Informer that I was reading about. So I have to make this quote because
beautiful Game Informer, beautiful,
yes.
Beautiful covers. I love the covers.
Yep, it's an Anthem cover. BioWare Takes to the Skies.
I actually had 4 covers for that one.
Oh well,
they had 4 different covers because they have 4 different.
Are you an Elite Pro member at GameStop?
I am not. I am working on getting my points up to be an Elite Pro. I'm just a regular member. And once my points can pay for my subscription, I'll buy my subscription that way. I'm being a cheapskate.
Okay.
But I do keep up with what comes out on them, and they released 4 different covers, one for each different suit of armor. I forget what they call them. They're God, what is the name of those suits?
Javelins.
So they got the 4 different javelins. You've got basically the tank one. You'll have to name them. I can't even remember the names.
I don't know the names of them either, man. All I read is Colossus. Colossus is one. Let's just
Colossus, Storm, Interceptor, and I think Hunter is the other one.
Interceptor, yep. I think there's a Hunter or Ranger or something.
Mm-hmm.
Colossus, Ranger.
And so you got a
I don't see the other one.
The Storm is Storm.
Okay, that's the Warlock type.
Yeah, so basically it looks like a Void Warlock because he's purple and all that, and I kind of actually like that because it's kind of funny because it's kind of a twist between the Warlock from Destiny and the Hunter because it actually kind of has a little cloak to the guy, and Hunter's always had the cloaks and Warlock's just had these like duster type jackets. So I kind of got a little excited about that, but they say that you get to earn all 4 javelins throughout gameplay, so you start with the Ranger and then you go as you play the game, you earn the other 3. So here's what looks exciting.
It does.
I'm excited about it,
and I like that. There's a part I'm kind of torn between the no multiplayer and then I don't want it to be like a Destiny where it's like half of it's PvP. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if you offered it, great. If not, dude, I'm perfectly cool with that. I'm kind of like happy about it, kind of like you're saying.
I'm really excited about the no multiplayer, or no PvP, I should say. You got multiplayer because you got PvE, but no PvP. I kind of like that because what I really think that has hurt Destiny is the fact that they have to focus on 2 different avenues. And so far, they've proven that trying to make a really good PvP system and a really good PvE system all within the one game is a hard thing to keep up. Now we'll see when Forsaken comes out for Destiny 2 to see how that works because they actually have a twist of where they've combined PvP and PvE in one of their new game modes. But I really think that Anthem is really fixing to put a hurting on Destiny, especially with just all the stuff that it looks like. I mean, it looks really exciting. There's
an opportunity for a Destiny joke. I passed it up.
Pass it up, man. Pass it up. Leave that poor thing alone.
I know. Okay. So here's what I saw from Joe Warner, the gaming director of the game. It says, BioWare already has firm stance on its approach to microtransactions. We have a couple pillars that we stick to, and generosity to our players is number one on that list, says game director John Warner. Sorry, I said Joe. Making sure you feel you got a great value for what you bought, and that you get everything you think you should get for the money. And then, as we continue to service this game and create more stuff for it, allow you the opportunity to buy cosmetic items and vanity items that you're interested in, but no loot crates, no pay to win, strictly cosmetic. And then, so Game Informer says, forever? And Warner says, forever. So, forever, Anthem is not going to have any microtransactions in it other than cosmetic, per this article here, and let's see if they do like Destiny and just straight up lie. Oh, we didn't mean that, though. Yeah. But we'll see. But, man, I mean, I'm just kind of reading about it. I actually read the whole... I don't know if I remember if I read this whole thing or not, but I just read that part of it for sure. Read a lot of it, and super pumped about that, man. And I was going to get into these other games, but we're like running a little bit late, running behind on time here, so we'll just...
We are. I'm sorry for taking up so much time on the...
No,
other
that's
issue,
cool,
but
man.
I'm passionate about that cross.
Oh, I know. I can tell, man. I can tell. You're fighting for the gamer, man. You're for the gamers.
The gamers have got to have a voice somewhere, and hopefully some higher ups and some game companies listen to this podcast, because that's what we're here for, is the gamers.
Yeah. And so I was going to talk a little bit about some of these games, but I just want to mention this too for whatever reason. Dragon Quest XI is coming for the PS4. So it was a DS game, 3DS, and now it's coming to PS4. I don't know why. PS4 and PC. But it's going to be cool. I'm excited about that, man. I mean, it's September 4th is the release, and I just kind of saw that, and I don't know why it's doing that.
I'm excited for Mega Man 11 coming out. I'm not a big Mega Man player, but I'm excited about it. It looks like a fun game. I do have the Mega Man Legacy 1 and 2 collection on Switch, and I've enjoyed playing those here and there. It's good nostalgia, and I totally realize how hard some of those games actually were back in the day. Just getting back into them, it's like, oh my gosh, this is just... Man, those games were so much harder back in the day versus now.
Yep. So we'll go ahead and jump into Metroid, man. That's just straight up transition, because we hadn't talked to each other in a little bit of a while, and knew we were going to kind of get to going.
Yeah.
But so cool. So Super Metroid. So where do we even begin? So people will say that this is the best game ever. They will literally say this is a perfect game. And I'll just go ahead and throw my cards on the table all at once. I am inclined to agree with it. I can't not find anything wrong with this game. Maybe a couple things that I know one thing off the top of my head that I can think of. So, but I see Kleer wasn't a big fan of it, I guess. So, but I'm gonna hand it over to you in a second. But let me just kind of say my very first. So, I started playing this game, giving it a full chance as an adult. As I've said on the podcast before, I think it's probably 5 years ago when I first played it seriously, and I didn't turn it off for 3 days. Obviously I turned it off, but if I was playing games in those 3 days, I was playing Super Metroid. But when I first got it, I rented it from Video Visions, and I don't remember where it was from, but it's either Video Visions or Rogers or Pops. And I rented it and turned it on. I was like, oh my gosh, this game is just, I don't even know what to do, where to go, any of that kind of stuff. And it's the same way that I got Metroid somehow. I guess I got it for Christmas, the first Metroid. As I was younger, and I had the same experience, running around, dying, didn't know what to do, turn it off, didn't turn it back on until I kind of understood the game. Never finished it as a kid. But anyway, so that was my first impression with Super Metroid. I played it for a weekend and just turned it off, didn't even think much of it, never played it again until 15 years later or something. So that kind of is my suspicions on how you felt about it. What did you think about it?
So,
Did you play it as a kid, first of all, at all? Did you?
I think I did. I just don't remember it. I mean, when I was playing it some today, I was like, okay, I kind of remember this and everything like that. So my memory on playing it as a kid is vague at best. But playing it today, sit down, turn it on, start playing it. And the first thing before you get to the first world or before you get to the world or whatever and start actually getting into the game, it's like, okay, this isn't too bad. I like this. It was nice to have that retro reminiscent phase of it. Having the old 16-bit graphics, side scroller, all that good stuff, and I was liking it. And then I start, getting to the first, start getting to the first stuff, and like you said, there's no directions on anything. I guess I've been spoiled with playing games, modern day games. And I'm so used to having, your way markers. Hey, this is what you got to do. Here's your next quest, your next step, your next whatever. And I kind of got frustrated at it because it's like, why aren't you giving me some indication of what I got to do? And so I spent just tons of time just hopping around, not knowing where to go, not knowing anything. Finally found, getting on down in there. I was trying to do it without a walkthrough, and of course I ended up grabbing a walkthrough because I got frustrated. And so I get down into the area where you find your morph ball. And I'm like, I get my morph ball, and then it's like, well, how do I make it work? It's a pretty easy concept, and it's easy controls. There's not many buttons on there. But it's like, why couldn't you have just easily said in the thing when it said morph ball, double tap down to morph? Why couldn't it have just that one little guide there? That's my thing. It's like, and every time you got something new, it never told you how to use it or how to access it. It didn't give you that quick little, here's this, here's what you did. It just said morphing ball or super missiles or spazzer, or that's it. That's all you got. And it's like, well, that's kind of crap, and it was frustrating because it's like, why don't you give me just some little bit of just hint on that? And it was just frustrating from that. And I know probably as a kid playing this game, I probably was like, oh, I can figure this out, Now I'm the type of person, when I play a game, I'm like, okay, I want to get down to the nitty gritty. I want to play the game. I want to have fun doing it, but give me a direction. Tell me which way to go. Tell me whatever. And when you jump off the ship, you've got two different directions to go at the beginning. And it's like, which direction do you go? Do you go to the left or to the right? Well, of course, I go to the right because I'm like, oh, well, everybody's right-handed, so go to the right. They go to the right, and it's a brick wall. You can't get past it. I'm like, what in the world?
It's left.
And so I have to go to the left. And I go down the tunnels and everything. And that's another thing, too, is you've got these tunnels and these different colored doors that are blocked off, and different ways to access through the doors. There's nothing that tells you that. You just have to figure it out. And me, when I got the rockets, I'm like, man, I don't need to shoot these. I need to save these for something special because there's going to be a big boss here at the end. I'm going to need to shoot the boss with this. I don't need to waste my rockets. And then what's one of the main things you use the rockets for? To open a door. So it takes 5 rockets to open a door. And I'm like,
funny. What's the main thing you use the rockets for is to open a door?
Why do you waste a rocket to open a door? To me, that's like, you could have done something different there, and that's just frustrating because it's like, the rocket is like one of the best, to me it was like, it's one of the best weapons, that you use to do damage on the boss. One of the bosses, the Ivy boss, you have to use a rocket to damage it at all.
What boss?
The Ivy boss, the one that's the Venus flytrap. Yeah, the Venus flytrap. When he opens up, you have to hit him with a rocket, to damage him. It takes, I think, I counted 10 or 11 rockets to kill him. And so, you got to have rockets. But you're telling me I have to shoot 5 rockets to open a door. It's just, the little things like that are frustrating because it's like, why? And then you get your super missiles.
Yeah, those are awesome.
And you also use super missiles to open doors.
Yep.
And they're more so used to open doors than anything
mega
else.
Bombs too. You probably didn't get the mega bombs.
No, I didn't. I was getting close to getting to the mega bombs. I just got frustrated, and it's just like, okay, so basically you're telling me I'm getting all of these awesome weapons to open doors, and that's just to me. I feel like that's a poor design because it's like, I could use something else to open the door, or it could be a timing thing, or it could be I need to shoot it in a certain location, or something like that. It's just a freaking door, people. Let me open it, let me find a key to open the door, something like that. Don't make me waste my ammo on a door, and that to me is frustrating, because it's like I work hard to get this special ammo, and now I'm having to use it to open a door. I can't just
it every
go
time
through the
you
door.
kill an enemy, pretty much.
You can, and that's something I was going to say. You can't. It looks like you get the ammo back fairly quickly, but my thing is like, why have ammo to open a door? It's like that to me is just kind of one of those things. Like, you could have had keys, you could have had something neat, you could have had some kind of other little thing in it, but you're making me waste it because of. Well, I mean, the first time you get your regular missile. I'm sorry, it's not a rocket; it's a missile. The first time you get your regular missile,
it's technically
you get 5
a rocket.
I thought it was missile.
It says missile, but a missile is a homing projectile. Rocket is just projected.
All right, Mr. Smarty Pants.
Yeah, just throwing some Wikipedia at you.
All right, Mr. Smarty Pants. And yeah, use Wikipedia. That's
some
a really good
military
one to use
terminology.
Really good option there to use Wikipedia. I'm not to pick on you about that. But my thing is I get the missiles. And, they give you 5 of them, and you turn around, and the first thing you have to do is open a door with them. And I'm like, man, I'm fixing. Yeah, when you figure this out, because they don't tell you have to do this, you have to figure this out. When you finally figure it out, you're wasting 5 rockets. And to me, that's a waste. I'd rather just have them and keep on going. Now, granted, as you go through the game, you find rocket containers where you can hold more rockets, missiles, whatever you want to call them. You find more containers you can hold them. I think I got up to where I was holding 25 of them, when I started to put it down this afternoon. It's just one of those things where it's just frustrating that we had to waste ammo to do that. So
yeah, I guess it's just kind of funny you mention that, because why does it take 5 missiles to blow the door instead of just 1?
Yeah, because when you go to the super missiles, it only takes 1 of those.
That's a huge nitpick. That's a huge nitpick of the game, but should take 1 missile instead of 5. It's just fun. But here's why: because you see, your experience was kind of the same of mine on Metroid. So I'm going to give it a little bit of background, just in case you never played it. So '94, it came out in April 18th, 1994, and it didn't sell good in Japan. I guess they had the same kind of notion about it as you did, but regular Metroid came out, and that was the same thing. Like, how do I go anywhere? What do I do? Nobody knew. And if you played a regular Metroid, you know how to do the morph ball. You know how to shoot the doors with the missiles, and it does take 5. And I don't remember what color they were. I think they were red as well on regular Metroid for the NES. And there was nothing to tell you, and there was no map or anything on the regular Metroid. But this Super Metroid had the map, and so then we started getting into this. I believe it was 97. That Castlevania Symphony of the Night was released. But now we start getting into this genre called Metroidvania. So essentially all it is an open-ish world to where you can kind of go, and they block you off from access to certain areas until you find an item. So that's how they keep you from accessing an area that you're going to need super missiles, by blocking the door off with super missiles. It's kind of a routine or elementary way to do it. I mean, just for lack of a better way to say it, because it's one of the first games that started doing this, and so I think it works. But you shoot the super missile, and okay, now they can open the door. Now I know he's got super missiles, and now I know he can access these other areas in the game. So it takes a lot of design creativity to set up a world that way, whether it's Symphony of the Night or Metroid or Super Metroid or whatever game. But they're a lot of fun to me, and it's just a genre. It's a 2D side-scrolling. I like the 2D ones, the best ones, the Metroidvania type exploration games like that. But once you kind of get the hang of it and kind of what you're looking for, I think it works perfectly. But you're right, it does. I didn't think of it that way with the morph ball. It didn't tell you what does this do. What exactly is this? Mm-hmm. I mean, but got to remember they had instruction manuals. So when you open the instruction manual up in the Super Nintendo game, it would probably tell you. We don't have that. I don't know if this SNES Mini, can you push a button for the instruction manual?
I don't know if you can push a button for the instruction manual while you're playing the game, but I think they do have the manuals in the system.
Yeah.
I know whenever you're looking at the main menu, I think I saw up there where it said manuals or whatever.
I think so, yeah.
So you could look at those. But, I guess because I've gotten so used to games not coming with manuals anymore that I've just was like, all right, let's jump in this and start going, and not thinking about looking at the manual, because back when we played games back in the day, the first thing we did was, buy the game on the ride home. You're reading the manual to get everything, caught up on everything, and then plug the game in. You're ready to go because you've read the manual.
So think about that for a minute. This is not to get too sidetracked, but they took the manuals out to save money, and they implemented development time into the game to teach tutorials. I mean, what's actually cheaper? I don't know. I like the manuals. This is not what this is about. This podcast is about, but I really like the manuals. I know you do too. It's just
I love manuals.
That's part of the. It's like a collector's. You got to have a collector's edition to get a book or something now. These should just come with it.
But I remember my first time I opened up a game and there was no manual in it. I
took it back. Yeah, I forgot something.
Well, I opened it up and I'm like, "Where's the manual?" And I forgot who I was with, and I looked at him. I was like, "There's no manual in this. What's wrong with this game? There's something wrong with this game." And then when I plug the game in, it's got a tutorial. And so basically your manual's built into your game now. But, I mean, to me, I feel like, cost-wise, I feel like that would cost a lot more, because that's development costs there. You gotta put so much more time and energy into developing a tutorial than sitting here writing a book. A does this, B does that, X does this, Y does that, I mean, it's just, it's so much easier to do that. You want a morphing ball, double tap down. There you go. I mean, that's so much easier to say in a manual than it is to do a tutorial of what you're playing with it, which, I know this game is, a retro game, so I should expect that. But I guess it shows you how much gaming has changed from when we grew up playing games to now, and how much it's even changed us as gamers, because we look for those tutorials. We expect those tutorials in game because we don't have the manuals anymore. And now I go to turn on Super Metroid, which, in all honesty, I do like the game. Don't get me wrong. Yes, I've had lots of complaints about it, but I do like the game. It's been fun. I did enjoy playing it. Got a little frustrated on a couple bosses, but that's part of gaming. You're gonna get frustrated because it's a challenge. If you're not getting frustrated, then you're not playing a good game, because you're not being challenged. So it was just one of those things where, I don't know, just frustrated over the fact that, I didn't think about it at the time and look for the manual, whether it was on the SNES Mini or whether it was, online, and just jumped into the game. And that's probably where it bit me a little bit. But, that's my experience so far with the game. It's the controls are, for me, a little clunky, but I guess that's more because, they're a little clunky for the fact of, I'm not used to playing a flat controller anymore. I'm used to playing a controller that has the hand grips in it, that I've got my fingers around the tops and everything. It feels different. And I guess,
or what is it? Scuff?
I've got a Scuff controller, and I play with a Scuff controller. So I'm used to having that bigger bodied controller, just one that has more feel and grip to it. And then when I go to this, it just feels weird. It feels different. And I'm not gonna lie, I mean, this is the first game that I played on my SNES Mini, so it's probably why this is one's gonna be skewed, is because I haven't gotten used to that controller, and going from a PS4 Scuff to a SNES Mini controller, the classic Super Nintendo controller, that's a huge change. You're looking at many different button changes and all that, and so to me, it felt clunkier just because I'm not used to the controller. And I'm not going to say that the controls are bad, because they actually probably are pretty good controls, because they're basic controls and very direct on how it controls and moves Samus. I mean, it's got good movement and everything. It's just, as far as from me going from, modern gaming to retro gaming, just like that sharp, it's weird, I mean, even playing on, I've got the Nintendo Switch, and I usually play it in portable mode more often than not. I've got a case on it that gives it that body to the controller, makes it feel like that fully bodied controller, and it doesn't feel clunky. If it was the regular old flat just the flat Joy-Cons, I probably would have the same complaints. But even they come with that that controller mod piece that makes it feel more like a joystick that we're used to versus the old school flat game pads that we grew up playing.
Look at that finger. Look at that middle finger right there. What's wrong with it?
It's all jacked up.
It is. It's crooked, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
But check this out. When you're holding a controller, it's flat right there. When I turn it sideways, it's flat. My hands are developed perfectly for controller like Super Nintendo. It's like so weird. If you lay it like this, it's flat. And I bend my fingers like that. Anyway, you guys can't see it, but it's just funny. It's like I got like some arthritis or something in my hands. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm not. But my fingers are pretty straight.
But anyway, like dude, this game to me, I've said it before again. It's a testament to a retro game. Because if you tell somebody that doesn't play retro games, say, man, Super Metroid is an awesome game, they go, dude, it's all nostalgia. They all say that.
Yeah.
And that's a natural reaction thing. But I mean, it's not nostalgia for me, other than I guess it's 16-bit. But you go back and turn it on. The controls are phenomenal, man. I mean, that's the one complaint I am going to complain a little bit about. But I mean, it's just so I can have something negative to say about it, because I mean, is it a perfect game? I would not change anything about it, first of all, so let me just say that. But I went back and played it as an adult, and I didn't turn it off, like I said. And I went back and played it again on the Super Nintendo Mini, and I'm too Ridley now, but I've turned it off and kind of jumped to Mario RPG. And like I said, we've got a ton of games here with the Switch and all that, so I'm kind of going back and forth. But I love the game. Great addition to the Super NES Mini. I love the Metroidvania style that it brings. The colors, just the title screen by itself. I got it pulled up here.
The title screen's fantastic. I mean,
it starts to beep like a heart. Beep, beep. And the music and the atmosphere that it pulls you into. And if you just pay attention to it, right before the title screen comes up, it's like going beep, beep. And then you hear the beep, beep. It gets faster. I just started noticing this. It gets faster, and then it's like, and then it shows the dead bodies on the ground, and it's like, okay, this is going to be the type of game I'm getting into here.
It's got an awesome story to it. I loved the whole beginning of when it was telling you the story. It was great. It was really, it told a really good story, and it had that whole, Super Nintendo feel to it. It was great. I love seeing Samus up close like that, telling the story and giving that whole feel of it. The music it just fits so well with it. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a really good game. Greatest of all time? I'm not ready to say that. But did I enjoy it so far, what I've played of it? Yes, I did enjoy it. Was it frustrating? Oh, yes, it was very frustrating. But now that I'm getting more into the swing of it, it's more enjoyable than what it was to first start off with.
So it takes place on the planet of Zebes. I can't even pronounce it. I'm going to butcher all these names, so just so you know. And your Samus Aran, of course, the female protagonist that revealed female in the very first game, and everybody, oh my gosh, it's a female. Nobody, I mean, that's cool, but I mean, whatever. I don't care if it's a female or a male. It's Samus. It's awesome. And so I guess that was the revolutionary at the time. That was a big deal because at the end of it, if you performed in the same way on this one, if you do good, you beat it in a certain amount of time, that she takes the suit off and she's standing there like a bikini. And that was like the big reveal. And it's the same way on this one too. So Ridley is the leader of the space pirates. Samus Aran finds a Metroid that she takes. This one takes place right after the Game Boy version, and I got something to say about the Game Boy version too here in a minute. But so there's a Metroid that Samus takes. The Metroid's a little jellyfish-looking thing. Takes to do research and some other planet in space, some other space center. Really breaks in, takes it, runs off. Samus has had this baby Metroid its whole life, so it thinks it's its mother, and so on. So that's kind of where we lead into here. She's chasing she's hunting that Metroid down on the planet SR-388. So anyway, the Metroid 2 for the Game Boy is, you want to talk about, I guess, it is one of those weird things. I mean, I could see your frustration because on the PlayStation, on the one on I was going to say PlayStation, on the Game Boy, there's no enemies for the first half. I mean, I'm running around, jumping, looking for anything. There's no power-ups. There's nothing. I've gone everywhere. I don't even know where to begin. And I've had to look up a walkthrough on that one. I just turned it off. I'm like, whatever, man. If you can, I mean, I don't know what's going on there. So I never really got into that one for that same reason. Probably the reason you didn't get into this one.
Well, I mean, like, with this game, something that makes me just kind of giggle about it is, you know, all these aliens are called space pirates. And that just kind of gave me a giggle because, like, when I see, you know, when I'm reading some of this walkthrough stuff to help me out because I was just frustrated with the game, they're calling them space pirates. I'm like, that's not a space pirate. That's a straight up alien. That is a space alien. And so it just kind of made me giggle that they call them space pirates instead of aliens. I mean, basically, Ridley is basically a dragon-esque kind of creature. You know, he's not even, you know, when you think of a pirate, you think of even space pirates, you know, you still think of, you know, swashbuckling style things. I mean, because, you know, when I think of space pirates, the first movie that comes in my head is Spaceballs. And, you know, with them.
I thought you were going to say Pirates of the Caribbean or something. It is Spaceballs.
Well, if we're talking about space pirates, we got to talk about space pirates, and so Spaceballs. You know, you can't go wrong. And I think of those as space pirates, not some weird looking dragon.
You wouldn't know they were space pirates. You're right. I mean, I didn't know they were space pirates until somebody goes, "Oh, these are the space pirates." Oh, okay. I thought it was just an alien.
Yeah, until you're told or read about it, you don't know they're space pirates. That's the thing. I'm like, okay, your story is just kind of that's where the story for me starts kind of getting a little choppy because it's like, yeah, you got what you call them, but you don't really ever mention that. You don't really ever call them space pirates in the story as far as the gameplay goes, and so it's like, well, what's going on with this, you know? And then Ridley, you know, he's got a name and like a regular name, you know, and when I think of Ridley, I think of Aliens, you know, because Ridley is the main character in Aliens and it's a person, not the alien, you know, so it's just kind of like, well, why are we calling this creature Ridley? I mean, I get it, giving it names and everything like that. It's just, those are my kind of little quirk, nuance things that I think are just kind of weird, so.
Nobody knows about the story. I mean, I didn't know about the story at all until I'm reading about it. I didn't care. I mean, it was a fun game. Same way for regular Metroid, the first one, nobody cares. And you talk about Castlevania, Symphony of the Night. I knew I was Alucard, Dracula's son. That was it. And it's just it's just developing the character. When you get a new item, you're like, oh, a new area opens up, so now what I'm going to go find here? What's the new item I'm going to get? It makes them super powerful, and the items actually matter, is what I like about it. You know, the double jump or the space jump, when you get the mega bomb, or not the mega bombs, but just the regular bombs, you can bounce yourself up when you curl a ball up, and so you can get to these areas that are unaccessible. Even kind of cheat a little bit to get there, because it's not really cheating. You're just mastering these dynamics of the space jump or the space ball, the bomb jumps. And so that's what I really like about it. Just the fact that you do get these new items. And that's the only critique about it, was the space jump that you probably didn't get to because it's later on in the game. And so the space jump lets you jump multiple times in the air, but it's not really, it's kind of, for some reason, sometimes you push A to jump and you push it again in the midair, it doesn't work. I don't know why. So you'll ball up when you space jump, and then it'll still be spinning up, and then you can push it again and it'll jump in midair without touching anything, and you can keep doing it. But sometimes you'll go up in the air and you'll start falling, you'll push it, and it just doesn't work. And so you're like, why not? I mean, if it's just supposed to be an easy, that's like one of the last items you get too. You get a screw attack later, which you hurt enemies while you're in the air. That's a very powerful attack. And so you're just, and stuff like that. That's just, I mean, I like it. It starts to get kind of difficult toward the end, where these enemies, one enemy you can't even hurt. It's these just two space pirates that do martial arts, and it's kind of they'll just jump kick you and stuff like that, and you shoot them with whatever, and that doesn't hurt them. They got to start blinking for some reason. And then that little shell goes off, and then you hit them as much as you can, and then they'll start tearing into you, man. That's toward the end. That's right before Ridley, and then you get to Ridley, and you're pretty much spent. And so that's what happened to me, and I got killed, and I turned it off right there. It's like, all right, whatever. I'll turn it back on and just build up my missiles before I go in there and whatnot. But this was developed by Gunpei Yokoi. He's the guy that did the Game Boy. He's just a superstar at Nintendo. He led a staff of 15 people, and dude, the game is, I mean, it is a masterpiece as far as the atmosphere, the music. You'll hear music on it on everybody's YouTube channel that does retro games. They're always like, that same, it's always there. It seems like something from Super Metroid. At least I just noticed it now. This is a pretty telling thing. So first of all, let me just kind of, everybody gave it, like EMG gave it a 36 out of 40, Game Rankings 96%, GameSpot 8.5 out of 10, ING 9.5 out of 10. Of course, Nintendo Life 10 out of 10. Nintendo Power 4.425 out of 10. Game Players 97%. Super Play 92. But so GamePro criticized that the controls are often awkward or difficult, and that many power-ups are either lifted from other NES, Super NES games or simple upgrades of power-ups in the game, but praised the game's massive size along with auto mapping. So it did have mapping and auto mapping, which means when you cover a piece of area, it automatically gives you that map piece if you don't get the whole map. But this is a pretty cool thing here. The sequels. So Gunpei Yokoi, so not to get too deep into him, but he was a superstar at Nintendo, and he's the one that wanted to develop the Virtual Boy. So he developed the Virtual Boy. We know that was a failure, and he left Nintendo. And that's not his. He had all these good successes: Game Boy Pocket, everything that he touched turned to gold. And then he failed that, so he left honorably in 1996 of August, and he died in a car accident in 1997. So they didn't have anybody to how are we going to do this new Metroid? So during the Nintendo 64, obviously right after the Super Nintendo, they wanted to release, all the fans were expecting a Metroid. So they offered for somebody else to offered a different developer to make a Metroid, and they literally declined because they said, we cannot make that game as good or even equal to Super Metroid standards, so we're going to decline that. And this is what I like about Nintendo. So it says Mario and Zelda series creator Shigeru Miyamoto said that Nintendo couldn't come up with any concrete ideas on the N64 game. So they know they can release an N64 game and it's going to make a ton of money just because of Super Metroid. But they didn't have anything that was up to Nintendo's standard, so they didn't even release anything at all. Even offered to another developer, we'll help you. No, we're not even going to touch it because we can't even do anything to justify it. The next game was Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance, and Metroid Prime came out in the GameCube. I think it was 2002 for both of those, and to start back off so that was 8 years later, to start the Metroid thing back off again. So it's obviously become a staple, one of Nintendo's big IPs for their systems and stuff. But I thought that was pretty cool to read that about. Hey, no, we're not just going to do it to make money. And Nintendo's known for that. They want to release quality. And you buy Mario Odyssey, you buy Mario, or anything with Mario in it. Mario Tennis is out for the Nintendo Switch, and I almost bought it, even though I was like, well, I don't know anything about this game, but I guarantee it's going to be fun, because they got anything with Mario in it is going to be good. But other than just the side, this is 2D platformer, 2D Castle Metroidvania game, man. It's really not a whole lot to say about it other than I think it's awesome. The graphics are great for the time, as they still hold up today. The power-ups allow you to just do all this cool stuff that lets you upgrade and see new areas, makes you control your character a new way. It just opens up a whole new playstyle every time you pick up one. And that's what makes it so fun to me, that I think the shooting mechanics, the new weapons you pick up. Back in the old Metroid, you got the two beams. I think it was just, you had your little Metroid, your first beam would only go 3 feet or something. Then you got the long shot beam and go across the stage. Then you got a ice beam. Then you got the wave beam, which is more powerful. But you had to then go back to get the ice beam later to finish the game, because it just made it easier to freeze the Metroids and shoot them with missiles. Otherwise, they're going to kill you before you get to the final boss. This one, the ice beam will still, kill. If you get a different waveform or whatever for your beam, it still makes it more powerful, even though it has that ice mechanic. And you can go in there and push. If you push start and go to the menu, you can pick what type of weapon you want to use. If you want to take the ice beam off, you can. You don't have to go back and collect it again and backtrack and all that. They learned from Metroid 1 that you don't have to do that. So that's a good and interesting mechanic for this game that they implemented. I think they did good with. But man, I'll be honest with you, I don't know how you could improve it. Maybe with a little bit for the controls with the jump, but I think the controls are solid.
Well, I mean, I'm glad to know that I'm validated in how I feel about the controls through GamePro. You know, saying they're often awkward or difficult. You know, because at times I felt like they were. I mean, there was times like, you know, I had the super jump, and if, you know, I get into a position and get into a certain room, I can't jump across the board very well because I'm hitting the ceiling because of the super jump. And if I'm not just pressing that jump just right, I can't get over there, or I have to take the time to go into the menu to turn the boots off to do the jump that I need to do because I backtracked to go get something else or whatnot, or something that I thought I missed. And so, you know, I get where the clunkiness and the feel of it is there. You know, well, why couldn't I just jump across that anyway? Because it's like if you hit something, you know, especially in the jump, it definitely changed the trajectory of your jump really, you know, really sharply for me anyway. That's my experience.
If you hit something, you're going to fall down.
Yeah, and so it just I'm like, why can't I just, you know, with a lot of games, especially back then, if you jumped up and you hit something, you just kept on kind of moving over instead of just hitting it and fall down. So I mean, in a way,
you can still barely move, but you're not gonna. There's some parts where you have to jump, turn into a ball. This is the hardest toward the end, and fall and go into this little area. And if you had to hit it just right.
Oh yeah, and there were some spots that I were hitting that, you know, I was getting into that you had to hit just right and just perfect, and it was just, you know, there was just some frustrating parts of it, and I can't knock I can knock the controls for that, but I can't knock them completely because I mean they do control Samus very well. You do have great maneuverability and all of that, and it does work very well. It just like I said, I have frustration with it mainly because I'm going from modern games to retro in a very quick time and not getting used to the controllers. So
this is an interesting thing that you bring up about the controls, because we've kind of hit on this a little bit, is that, you know, you kind of grew up with Sega, with Sonic. I hate Sonic's controls. They're slippery. And you like it because they're fluid, as you would say, or anybody would say, that plays that. And then when they go back to play a game like Mega Man or Metroid or whatever, Mario, probably a better example than Metroid, but and they're super responsive. So you're moving one way, you push back, you're going to stop, and you're going to go back the other way immediately. You jump in the air, you can control yourself in the air. Not so much in Sonic, you can, but not as good. And so people that grew up with the Sonic games say, oh, those controls are rigid, those controls are tight, you know, for the Mario games. I don't like that. I like more fluid controls. And me, I'm like, man, those two controls are slippery on Sonic, you know, so on. So it's kind of interesting that whatever you kind of grew up playing is what you like about which controls you like better, it seems like.
Yeah. And two, when I think about it too, is even with the Genesis controller, it had more rounded edges to it too as well. It wasn't as sharp as the Nintendo controller, and even the Super Nintendo controller. Yes, it's rounded around the edges, but it's flat. It's very flat, and you know, it's a pad. You know, it's not much of a controller to me. You know, the Genesis had that nice curve and arc over the top and around the edges that gave it kind of, I guess, the predecessor to the PlayStation style controllers and the N64 style controllers, where you have the grips and the handles on there. So that to me is where I'm starting to have, you know, I'm feeling where I can feel where my differences were when I played between the Nintendo and the Genesis back in the day. So now that I see that, it's just it's like, wow, yeah, I really realize now why I was more of a Genesis player than a Nintendo player.
So the Super Play gave it a 92%. That's a British game publication. That's why I've never heard of it. But so this is interesting for you. So do you, first of all, you like Mega Man X, right? I know this is
I do like Mega Man X.
I'm going to bring it back around. Okay, Mega Man X. I do too. I think it's one of the greatest games as well. I go back and play it all the time. So British video game publication Super Play had 3 editors play the game, and he said Zy Nicholson noted that the game was better than his favorite game, Mega Man X. Okay, describing Super Metroid as more of an experience than a game. So he compared it to the films like Aliens. He said it's best experience in the dark with the volume turned up. He found the game so compulsive that he was tempted to play without eating or sleeping. Tony Mott was another guy. He said the game's atmosphere is its best aspect, and so he applauded the game controls. Mott applauded Nintendo's ability to create a refined gameplay. He included his review by saying, Super Metroid, undoubtedly the best game I've ever played this year so far. Predicted anyone who plays it would be playing a game destined for classic status. Okay, the third reviewer, James Leach, agreed with Nicholson and Mott that Super Metroid was what Mega Man X should have been. Do you agree with that? Mega Man X is running around like that? No. I didn't think so.
No, Mega Man X was perfect. I mean, it was perfect because of the Mega Man series. It stayed true to what it was. And I'm sorry, but Mega Man and Metroid are two different games. Yeah, they kind of have the whole side-scrolling, but they're two different games.
They're two different, no doubt.
I mean, they're completely different, and for you to even put them in the same light as saying that Super Metroid was what Mega Man X should have been, I mean, you've just lost credibility, in my opinion, because that's so way off base, because it's two different styles of games, in my opinion. You know, Mega Man X has this, you're going in, okay, here's your boss, you got to collect his weapon or your armor to be able to fight the next boss, and you have to fight them in certain orders so you can so you can do them because you're getting the weapons to do that. Samus is fighting an alien race, kind of almost like Contra, you know, where you're going through the board. You know, you're not trying to get all this other stuff to beat this next thing, because once you get the regular missiles, you can pretty much kill everything with the regular missiles. I mean, it's just one of those things where I think they're so far off base by comparing it like that. Is Super Metroid a great game? I haven't gotten all the way through it, so I can't give you a full yes or no on it. Have I enjoyed what I played of it? Yes. Mega Man X, oh man, dude, that's probably my favorite game on Super Nintendo. It really is. I mean, between that and between the Final Fantasies, those are my games there. But I mean, you're looking at two different genres again as well. You know, Mega Man X is a game that you can complete pretty quickly, whereas Final Fantasies you're going to spend hours and hours on. But
so
I don't know. That's just reading his comment, because I've got that article pulled up that you're reading as well. Just reading the guy's comment, I'm like, man, I wish I could meet James Leach and just tell him how much of a moron he is by saying that, because it's just. I'm sorry, comparing the two games is just, you know, it's like saying an apple's better than a banana. You know, it's.
Well, I see where he's going so it's the simplicity. This is where people kind of lose it here. The simplicity of Mega Man. There's hidden items in each stage, but you don't have to backtrack. It didn't take you, forever to find. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. But so like one stage, okay, you got one heart container. You're going to have an energy tank. You might have one of the power ups for his actual armor, something like that. You kind of know that they're there somewhere, and it's not that hard to. They're easier to find because just the map, or whatever it would be called, the stage is smaller to find. You don't have to search the entire Mega Man universe. The story's as irrelevant to me with Mega Man X or Super Metroid. The game's awesome, both of them. Mega Man X, I've gone back and played a million times, but the point is the simplicity of just being able to pick it up and kind of figure it out to some with a bit of a challenge, but kind of understanding the mechanics. I know there's a heart container hidden somewhere in this map. That's all I need to know. Super Metroid, you might know. I don't know how many energy tanks are there. How many do I have to find to get more life? But Mega Man X, so that's there. You know what you're supposed to be doing. Super Metroid, you might not know what you're supposed to be doing because you don't know what the game has to offer. You don't know all the power-ups and stuff like that. Some people like that better because, I don't know what I'm going to get, a spin jump or whatever that's more powerful. And I understand, Mega Man's got you can get the different weapons from the bosses, but, and that can change the dynamic as well. But I kind of see where he's kind of thinking Mega Man X would have been better if it was a big open world like Super Metroid instead of this different stages. I disagree just like you completely. But Mega Man X is doing more of a hidden stuff that really wasn't there with the old Mega Mans. Mm-hmm. But Mega Man X first introduced it, and I think Mega Man X did it perfectly.
They did a fantastic job with that.
So, anyway, yeah, not a whole. I mean, I didn't know how much I was going to have to say about Super Metroid, and it's really kind of hard to explain without a video of what you're talking about because it's just so open world and running around. But it is a Metroidvania type game, and all I can say is if you haven't played it, play it. I mean, you're really going to give it a chance because, I mean, if you're playing it for the first time on the SNES Mini or you bought the game or whatever the case, Virtual Console, it's all out there. Then give it a chance. Get a walkthrough to kind of help you through, kind of get an idea of what this game's offering. Okay, there's hidden areas. There's, I got to get a power up to access a new area, stuff like that, and then you start to feel that development of that character coming along in the kind of the thrill of the hunt, so to speak, on the next item you're going to grab and how that's going to help you. But, so, you got anything else to say about Super Metroid?
Man, I'm pretty tapped out on it.
Okay. So, let's go ahead and mention the contest real quick. So, we got an NES Mini now. So, we are...
Two contests.
Okay. Well, we got 2 contests. Well, tell you the one I know about. The NES Mini, we're still working out the details on how we're going to do this, but we want it to be more for the actual listeners of the podcast instead of just a random Facebook post. Obviously, we're going to have to do something like that to get new listeners, but you're going to have to listen to win. I can tell you that. So we want you guys to just stay tuned, and we'll give you those details as they come up. I'm expecting next podcast we'll have more details on that, and then once we have ironed this out, we're going to tell you exactly what you need to do to be entered for a chance to win that thing.
But we'll only tell you on the podcast.
Okay. What's your content? You got another one?
So the other one we got is, I'm a collector of Pops. I love collecting those things, and I was able to get my hand on an E3 exclusive Pop, and it just so happens to be a Mega Man Pop. I can't remember which one it is. It's an 8-bit one. It looks really cool, and it's him. I don't have it sitting in front of me, so I can't remember the name of it. But it's the E3 exclusive Mega Man Pop they had out for E3 this past year, and he's purple. I think I cannot think of which weapon he turns purple for.
Is it like the very first one, or
it's from Mega Man 1.
Oh, what's is it Cutman? No, is Cutman or Gutman? Gutman is where he picks up stuff.
I can't remember.
Oh man, now I'm
now we got to find out.
I don't want to look it up, but I got to.
But if you look up the E3 2018 Mega Man Pop, it'll tell you. Tell you what his name. I just can't remember his name off the top of my head. But anyways, I have that Pop in mint condition. Or I will say, just for your collectors out there, near mint, because he probably does have some shelfware on him. But, he is a collectible Pop. He actually is trending in value right now, so he actually will be worth more than a normal regular Pop. So that'll be good.
Black Hole Bomb?
That's it, Black Hole Bomb.
I don't know what that is. Is that Bomb Man, I guess?
Black Hole Bomb, Black Hole Bomb. And so, anyways, looks really cool, looks really neat, and I'm going to be giving that away. I'm still trying to figure out as well my details of how I'm going to... it looks really cool. So I'm trying to figure out the details of how I'm going to give that away. But once again, it's going to be for the listeners. I want to give back to the listeners, just like Holliwood gave back to one of our listeners, where he gave away a free game just recently. I'm giving away this Pop. It will be, what I'm thinking is going to be something dealing with collecting. You're going to have to go back and probably listen to a podcast or two to pick up on what it is. But we'll throw it out there. It'll be a pretty easy, straightforward contest, and I'll send you out that Pop if you get it right. If you get the answer right, and you'll just have to message me back on Facebook, and we'll get that worked out. But you will also have the details of that dropping with our next podcast as well. So once I get that worked out, I'll let you know. But I want to let y'all know that it's a Mega Man Pop, from E3. That's why I wanted to do it now, since E3's just recently finished, and it's this, if I'm not mistaken, is the first year that they actually had exclusive Pops for E3.
If you look up Purple Mega Man E3 exclusive, it'll pull it up. Does yours have the little E3 2018 limited edition sticker?
Oh, yes.
Man. It looks cool, dude. I don't collect Pops or anything, but I see it now, and it looks like a little Minecraft version of Mega Man.
Yeah, it's It's a 3D
3D.
8-bit figurine. So it looks really cool. It's got a really neat feel to it. But I want to give that to our listeners out there because, like I said, it is one that's actually trending in value. So it'll come with value on into it too. So it's something that's a really nice giveaway. But you're gonna have to listen to win that one. I can't just give it away on Facebook. We want people to listen to our podcast more often, and we want to reward our listeners. So this is going to be another giveaway for that.
Awesome, man. Well, so we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up, man. Check us out on Facebook at HnKEXP. Also on Holliwood Cole on Instagram or Twitter, and Clearfire on Instagram and Twitter. Also, we have a Patreon now. So if you guys are interested in supporting us, man, to keep us going, if we can release more and more contests, if we can get enough supporters, we would love to do and Switch giveaway with like games for our 50th episode. So the 50th episode will be a couple, 2-3 months from now. I think we're on episode 30 something right now. Mm-hmm. If we can get enough, we would love to do that. We are going to do it one day, but it's just as soon as we can do it, we will. So just go to the Podbean. It's going to be in a link in the description. And just go to Podbean. You can click Become a Patron at the top. Or Patron. I know, I call it Patron. And you can go ahead and click that. And don't even $1. Just $1 will get you a shout out. I mean, if you donate $1, we'll give you a shout out on the show. If you it's like $1 a month or something. You got to do it monthly. And then if you give us $5, we'll give you a shout out and part of your organization. So, hey, Holliwood Cole with the HnK Video Game Experience podcast, thanks for your donation, something like that. And if you do the $10 a month, and of course, I think it's $10 I put on there. It's all in the Patron explanation. But you got the the $10 or whatever that bonus one is. I think it's $10. It's the highest it goes. Then we'll give you a shout out with you, your organization, and a description of what you offer. So it's kind of like a little mini commercial there. So we'll do that. Also, of course, if you do are one of our patrons, then we will have exclusive patron contests for just the people that donate, giving away some serious prizes such as maybe an NES Mini, maybe a Super NES Mini, maybe a game. I don't know. We'll see. And we're working on exclusive content. We don't know what that's going to be yet, but we'll see. We're going to offer you guys something for sure.
Exactly. You're going to get something for your money. It's going to be worth it. And, we're looking at, not only for y'all, to help support us, but to also give back to the people that want to support us, so we plan to give back to y'all as well. And, just want to make sure that, y'all are heard and know that we would love whatever support you give us.
And we also got a t-shirt here now too. So, you can go to Amazon.com, of course, and pick it up. It's just the HnK Video Game Experience. It's the one T-shirt. It's like 4, 5, 6 different colors. I think it's like $17. And we got to represent and advertise. It's awesome.
We got a link on our Facebook page to it already as well, so you can go straight to it. And if it helps you out, we'll even put a link in our podcast description. That way, it'll be up there with all the other links that we have as well.
All right. Well, that'll wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for listening, and game on.
Peace out, guys.